Hello my beautiful friends. I'm thinking if you're watching this video then you have an interest in what light language is, and I wanted to share with you my perception and I guess some of my experiences with light language, and then also invite some light language in so you can then I guess hear my light language. So I'm only new to it, however the frequency and the intensity in which I experience it has created a wealth of, I guess, knowledge, wisdom, intuition, and a sense of presence. So I can only speak to it from my perspective and speak about it from other people's perspectives that I've spoken to. Light language is a combination between what is inherently within us and also what we are channeling. So it's in a sense a channeling. However, I believe that we are channeling our higher self, even to the point of our future self. I've spoken about this in some of my other videos where we talk about timelines, that we can take this version of ourselves back to a younger version of ourselves in this lifetime and heal some of those traumas and fears and I guess untruths of the mind that may arise. We can then bring ourselves back into this timeline or this time frame, and those healings will impact how we then feel in this space. So as much as this version of ourselves can go back and speak to that version of ourselves, then also the concept of the future version of ourselves through multiple lifetimes can come back and speak to this version of ourselves. And that's what I believe that the light language is about. So I'm channeling myself from a future part of myself. Okay, that's one interpretation of it. Another interpretation could be that this is inherently the undertones of the accumulative consciousness that resides in all of us, and I am just speaking in a way that represents an understanding for me. Now, in saying that, when I speak language, people will hear the language, but I'll also hear the language within myself. And there's quite a few relationships that you can have with the language. So what I have found is that the language offers me a sense of solace and sanctuary. It's like me talking to a higher part of me, another part of me, just that part of me that is there and supportive in nature. As you would maybe speak to the universe, as you would maybe speak to God, this is a similar experience. It's quite a challenge to explain for people who haven't experienced it, and then try to give a concept of what this is. Once again, I can only speak from my experience too. I will put a link with this to a gentleman that I listen to. It's an hour discussion, but it's just beautiful in the way that he speaks about it. And before this language, this sophisticated, civilized language that we have, there have been many languages. And sometimes those languages started off as grunts, in a sense, very short syllables, but they meant so much. Light language is very similar to that. When you listen to someone's light language, you will hear a range of language, a range of syllables, and you'll hear them repeated in different forms and in different sentences and structures. It doesn't necessarily mean, so the egoic mind would jump in and go, oh, they're just making that up, they're just repeating those bits and pieces. But for the one who experiences it, the way that it is received, the way that it is expressed, and the way that it feels offers its own language. And it's just an expression of an inner state, an inner feeling. So it's a really interesting experience and a way to experience self and also experience life as a whole. Because ultimately, life is living you, life is living me, and we are the conduit for life. And this is another way that we are being the conductor of life. So my language is maybe a combination of, I think that I feel there's a Japanese influence, I feel that there's like a Polynesian Maori influence, and sometimes there's a little bit of Spanish and French, which is interesting because when I look at my lifetimes that I have experienced, I can definitely bring myself back to Lemurian times. I love Japan. I've been to Japan many, many times, and I love the language. I've always wanted to learn French. I have a French name. And this Polynesian type feel always sits with me, and there's been some past lifetimes that I've regressed to that I've had some experiences around that too. So I guess for me, the language that I use is a conglomerate of the languages that I've experienced in past lives. Potentially it's future self speaking to me with this with these experiences of past lives. So it's really quite expansive. A good friend of mine, his language is very much similar to Hebrew, so it's got its this feel to it. Other people's light languages can be quite etherical and quite alien in a sense as well. So this can be also when people are, souls are coming from other planetary systems and into this lifetime. So each light language is not the same. Each can be different, and each has its own nuances around how it's expressed. What it means to that person is their own meaning. However, it's not just about me channeling this stuff for me. When we do go into meditation and into state, and when we sit within some of our workshops, what we will notice is that there is codes can be downloaded from consciousness that are pertinent to the group that is sitting in that space. And in some of the workshops that we've conducted, many people will be speaking their own language, and as you hear someone's language, it starts to resonate within you, and it has a meaning for you. So there's unlockings of codes. These are keys in a sense. When I first listened to language, it was by a guy called Jesse Wynyard, a Maori young man, very, very beautiful man. And once he spoke, all of a sudden I just felt an unlocking within me, and then that started the process. I've always had a familiarity with channeling, and when I've ever sat in session with people, I get information. It's basically, Maurice, get out of the way, we've got something to say. So whether it's my guides, whether it's my higher self, whether it's consciousness, source, whatever it is, but I just go, okay, I'm getting out of the way, and use me as a vehicle to express what needs to be said. Can I translate, or can you translate language? Yes, you can. I think for yourself. For me, if I need to know stuff, I'll ask questions. Sometimes language will come to me. Then as that language is coming to me, I'll get visions, and then I can then put them into words. All of the information that is on my website, the new website, mauriceharveyhall.com, is all channeled through language. So that was, sat down with my business coach, Damien, and we went, okay, what does source have to say? So we asked, and then language came through, and then then I was able to decipher it. So language has a lot of meanings to self and to others, and and can have its own, everyone has their own language. So I'm going to just go in and I'm going to invite language in that is pertinent to the expression of this video. And I'll just share with you my language. And some of it may resonate with you. So it'll be just interesting to notice what's arising within you as language is coming through for me. Okay. So here is me, the ego gets out of the way, and then I just allow this to happen. Okay. Mieke ko mokota ine sele ke waka pata ine ke. Vitui ine kata ine si lui e pokotona na kata. Mamaki e te nini si le wokoto usu ni ke wakata mui ke te. E le koto uno si ke te mokoto da. Mokota ine de ko sui e lua mo wasa. Ine ke u sui ine ke a. Maka pakata ini le usa kata ta ine kuie moi tata ine. E le mama kata ta si e ke te wokoto e ke ma. Mama akasa ine le ke u o kuie ne ke te wakata ta. I me e se le uakatine ko u sui ne ke te ewa. E pokata ine le u si ne ke o kuima katana. Makata ine se li ku isi ke uto makata ta si le wa. A sui ne mea o kotui e ke a kata. Si le ke o to i ne wa kata. Me e nese ke uso ke a maka tia le ke wa. Muone ke ta asa ta ide le wo ke te mea ta. E se ia uye e de ma ue ke ta ine me ke o to i se le wona ta e. I mukata ine ke tu usiki a asi me ke te. E poiete te le ke wata. A se ine ke o tunga. E mukotoine ke e lewa a se nia. E pokoine ke te uluto o su i te ke ino mokoto a ine ke wea. I mea katata ine se le ue kata ia. Ke te wataka se e ke moko. So that is an example of my language. So what happens, it continues to reside within me and it tells me things, it speaks to me. As I'm speaking that, it then takes a voice of its own. I have this feeling within it. So here's something that's resonating within me. Do I know what that is? I had some understanding of it. This was more so in context and pertinence to what is happening within this space. As you are listening to me, this was then channeled through me to speak to you as well as what was happening for me too. What that means to you, I'm not too sure. It'll be interesting. So consider what I've said. Consider how that would be relative to you. And if you'd like to find out more information about that, then please come to one of our workshops that we are running on a bi-monthly perspective. And happy to also just sit with people and have conversations around that as well too. Okay. I hope that has helped. It just allowed me to share my experience, what I understand. I'll put another link below this that has a longer explanation and a beautiful explanation of what light language is. And yeah, we hope to catch up with you at some point and help and encourage and support the language for you to speak for yourself and to share with others, because it's a beautiful space, and it's a space that comes from the heart, and a space that allows you to get out of the way of your ego. All right. Thank you. I just wanted to add with the light language explanation that light language can also occur for people through automatic writing. It can come in symbols. So some people, I have written symbols before, didn't make any sense to me, but I was actually wrote them with my eyes closed. So the graphic at the beginning of this video is similar to a lot of light language that you will see. Language can also come in movement. So some people posture and some people do particular mudras. As you would have seen with the language that I was then experiencing or channeling, it then starts to make me move and explain things in a particular way. So there can be movement. Also, it can also come in a form of movement of the body. So this has been likened to like a qigong. Even particular dance, in a sense, can be a language of light in that way. So, and when we're also looking at this is really a language of love. And it feels right. It's not an egoic thing. Sometimes the ego can get in the way. But I think from my experience, it actually allows my ego to get out of the way, and it just comes through and it's speaking from the heart. So it's a language of love. So I just wanted to add that because I was looking back at the video that I did and went, oh, I didn't talk about how language or how light language can present itself in other ways too. Something to consider. Thank you.